topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. The show today is with an expert who has been with me for probably 12 years. It seems like yesterday we were in Denver, Colorado, meeting him and his lovely wife. And I've grown to know him so well. And one of the things I do besides doing 35 shows a month is doing due diligence. And this is one area, and I think it's because I see all these national advertisers, and I go and read because, you know, you can go and Google and read about what people say. And it's amazing how people, what they say about these companies, how frustrated, how unhappy they are. And I got to tell you, I am so blessed. We found a company. I'm not saying they never have any negative things written about them. Sometimes it's other companies, their peers doing it. But this company, Taxation Solutions, has I have never put my name on something so strongly as Taxation Solutions. And he's not only a expert, but he's a friend. And we've taken this show from one 25-minute show a month to two 25-minute shows to the whole 50 minutes. And we've taken it nationally because it's such an important show. And I can't, it's almost like I got to say this. It's my honor to welcome you to our expert, Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve. I don't even know how to follow that.
I'm sorry to be so wordy, but you know what? If you are a girl, I tell you, I love you, you know. No, you and your wife, how you run your business, how you take care of your clients, the things that you do for your clients, because folks, if you've ever had the IRS after you, boy, I got to tell you, that is a burden like you never want to go through. And there's a company out there that can help you. And I just think, Barry, what you've created with every different aspect of your company is amazing.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, like I said, I don't know what to say after that. You've left me speechless today. And
that's hard to do.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you put me talking at a seminar and teaching people and, you know, talking to truckers at truck shows, and people are telling me I've got to stop and take questions. And when I get questions, I love them because I can stand there and answer them and continue talking. You know, getting information out to people is probably one of the things that I enjoy the most. And I mean, that's why, you know, I actually will go under the title, not necessarily as an enrolled agent or the tax relief tax expert, but a tax coach. You know, I'm here to coach. You know, I coach my staff and train people all the time to do the settlements and tax relief and tax returns and payment plans and penalty abatements with the IRS. And when I get out talking to people about their business or their tax problems, it's the same thing. I'm coaching them how to do it, whether they choose to do it themselves, which I never recommend, unless you have a very low tax liability. But trying to teach them, hey, what do we have to go through? What do you need to do? How do we do it? And what's the best way of putting the best solution, for you in place?
Barry, I got to tell you, I have a little quick story how people procrastinate. I had a lady who called me up. She said, it's a show we do in Los Angeles. She said, I love the show and I need a public adjuster so bad. Can you give me the name of that company again? And I gave her the name, the phone number, email, and Barry, it has been over a month and she still hasn't contacted them. And that could be like that for any business that people procrastinate, but you can get in a lot of trouble when you procrastinate with the IRS.
Well, Steve, it's worse than procrastination. It's taking that envelope you received and it's got that wonderful love letter and it goes, right into that circular file. In this case, it was a rectangular file. It's that trash can. People don't want to open the letters. They want to ignore it. They think it goes away. If you don't see it, it's not there. And, maybe the IRS doesn't do anything the first few letters they send out. Maybe it takes the IRS a year or two to actually put full force of the IRS behind it. But once they do, it is probably the most painful day you have in your life. And it's not just any day the IRS will levy your bank account. It always seems to be the day that you just got your payroll put in your account. Or if you're a business owner, you just had large collections that just came in and they just took everything. And then what's even worse is if your social security number is tied to maybe your kids' accounts, maybe your mother's account or your father's account, because you're helping take care of them in their older age. They take it all. And, we had a friend that he had some IRS problems. For whatever reason, he felt like he could manage it and do it himself. So, hey, that's fine. I gave him some advice. He ignored the advice and ignored the IRS. And one day they levied everything. It gets worse. Hey, it's not just his accounts, but both his kids were in college. And their grandmother just gave them everything to help pay for their college.
Oh.
And they took it all because his social security number was tied to that. It got worse. His wife's social security number, who was a joint filer with him, was tied to her mother's account. And they took everything out of her mother's account as well. Calls me up crying. What do I do? Well, do you want my help or not? If you want to do it yourself, hey, call the IRS. Try. I'll actually hire you this time because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, you made a mess. We managed to get all the kids' money back. We got the mother-in-law's money back. Couldn't get his money back, but at least we got them restored in whole. But, it was a long, drawn-out process. So you got to watch what you're doing, and you can't just ignore them. Even if you think you can do it yourself, don't ignore the IRS. It's that snake that's hidden in the weeds. It's going to come out and bite you.
It's awfully scary. Barry, I always start the show with you telling us about taxation solutions, but I got a email from somebody who wanted me to ask you, uh, and I think it kind of will tie in together. What happens once I sign up with you? What what happens then?
Hey,
So
what we
kind of
do,
walk us through that.
yeah. So we have no salespeople that work for us. We manage everything here. You call here, you're talking directly to our office. Matter of fact, you'll end up probably talking to me to determine if you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you. And you sign up, we're going to get you to sign an engagement letter with us. You're going to sign your 2848s, 8821s, which is your power of attorney, gives us the right to pull information. We're going to set a time to call the IRS pretty much immediately to put holds in place to stop the IRS, depending on where you're at in the collection process. If the collections is not 100% active, we may wait for that hold a little while because we don't want to wear out our hold times and then have them do collections at the worst time. And we'll start gathering information from you. We're going to do a complete analysis of your account to determine exactly every single step we need to take, where we need to go with your case. Are you going to be an offering compromise? Are you going to be an installment agreement? Is it going to be a partial pay installment agreement? Should you be non-collectible? Is statute of limitations coming up and we don't want to mess with something on the statute of limitations by extending them? So we look at all that before we proceed to put the right steps in place for you to get you the best solution to this problem that you can have. I mean, it may be as simple as filing tax returns or amending them or fighting an audit, whatever it may be. Those are the things that we've got to look at and decide what's right for you. Because the IRS could be wrong and we can get them to correct the record.
Another Barry, this one in Sioux Falls. I'm really enjoying your show. I've heard 3 or 4 of them now. What does it mean, or what do you have to prove to go into non-collectible?
You got to prove you're not making enough money to pay the liability. And it can be just you're in a non-collectible status for a year or two. You could stay in it till the statutes of limitations run out, depending on your income. The IRS will come back and look at it. But, what the IRS is going to look at is what your income coming in is, what your expenses going out are. And then if your expenses are way above national standards that they will allow, they're going to come back and say, no, we're not going to allow some of these expenses. And everybody's situation is different. So we sit down and we look at that and do the analysis of it. And maybe there's certain things we got to do to tweak your financial situation to help you qualify better. Or maybe we put you into a partial pay installment agreement where the payment's really low that, we know the IRS would accept it, and it allows the statute of limitations to run out over the period of time. And sometimes partial pay is something really good, especially if you're looking at potentially a few increases in your income sometime in the future. And we get them set up on that payment plan and the statutes run out and you're golden. People think offering compromise is the end game, the be all, the best solution, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be. And that's why you've got to look at all the different options. And we pull out our toolkit and go through each option and figure out what's the best for you and which tool we're going to use to get that solution for you.
Barry, you've developed some amazing programs, and I like to do this towards the beginning of the show. First of all, talking about truck drivers, because you've actually kind come up with a program just targeted at truck drivers. Tell us about that.
Oh, absolutely. We have a company called Trucker Tax Tools. You can go to truckertaxtools.com. It's all about trucking. It's all about truckers, bookkeeping, and taxes. The funny story, and I know we tell these stories and everything, but we didn't mean to go into this business. I mean, I've done bookkeeping and taxes for truckers for, 20, 30 years now. And, we weren't looking to segment and go off into doing bookkeeping and taxes for just truckers. But we help so many truckers get out of tax debt. I mean, you got to understand truckers. They're on the road constantly. Over the road, they're away from home, they're away from family. The family don't get in the truck and travel with them everywhere they're going, and they may be gone 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time, just trying to make ends meet, make their payments, do right in business. And when they get home, nobody wants to do bookkeeping. They definitely don't ever want to think about taxes. They've never visited with an enrolled agent or a tax consultant in any way, shape, or form about their business. So after we got solutions in place for many, many truckers, they kept saying, can you do our bookkeeping? Can you do our taxes? Can you help us? So we developed a whole program just for truckers, Trucker Tax Tools, where, we do tax planning for them. We do consultations for them. We do their bookkeeping, we do their taxes. We even help them and guide them towards putting money away for retirement. And the first time I ever mentioned retirement to a trucker, they went, man, I'm going to be in this truck forever. I'm just going to retire in this truck or die in this truck, one of the two. And we're like, no, you got to plan for your future. So we've even taken strategies to help them put money away for their future. Even if they plan on being in the truck until they're 70 or 80 years old, maybe their wife wants to live well and have some money for retirement out there. So we've developed this program, and it's, you can call us at 877-996-6477. Our programs start really simple at $25 a week for bookkeeping. And you get a lot of discounts with it, and it's a fantastic program, low cost. We make it as easy as possible for truckers, because the last thing you want to do is think about, hey, I got to provide bookkeeping stuff to these guys. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. No, spend time with your family, your kids, your grandkids, your wife. Hey, they do want to spend time with you, so you should spend time with them as well. But get started with us at 877-996-6477. Let us get you taken care of. We'll take care of it for you. You can call that same number for tax relief. And we want to help solve people's problems. And that's what we're here to do.
You really do want to help people, Barry. And I got to tell you, you came up with this playbook that I think is amazing. Tell people about that.
No. You know better than that. I take no credit.
Okay, Meg. Okay, we'll give it to Meg.
We always laugh and talk about the
I'm
ideas
sorry, Meg.
come up on this, and I would love to take credit for her and what ideas she has. Yes, I wrote it, but it was her idea. How to help people. There are people that just don't want to spend the money to get the help that they need. Sometimes they just don't have the money to do it, and sometimes they just think they can do everything on their own. So we wrote IRS playbook. You can go to irsplaybook.com, and you can see our 3 simple steps that we take and we use to fight the IRS and put solutions in place. So what I tell you is this: email us at info@taxationsolutions.net, or go to taxationsolutions.net, fill out that contact page, and ask for the playbook. And we will get you directed right over to the playbook. You can go in there and look at the playbook and see the steps that we take. And we try to simplify things. and make it easy so that it's understandable for everybody that wants to use it.
You know, Barry, the IRS is so powerful. I don't know what's going to happen now. It's so strange. They're supposedly hiring 80,000 new agents. Then we hear they're going to retire 26. Who knows what's going on over there? Is this new software they're supposedly using going to speed anything up at all?
Well, Steve-O, software is only as good as the people that write it,
That's true.
and software is only as good as the people that use it. Now, what does that mean? If you're hiring artists and people that have no financial background to run things and be there at the IRS, hey, you might get a good design, it might look good, but is it going to do what it's meant to do? They need to modernize everything. I mean, there is no reason we should be having to mail in back tax returns. We should be able to e-file, more than the last 3 years of taxes. We should be able to e-file the last 7 years or 6 years, whatever the IRS requires to be filed. I should be able to electronically file them just like I did, 4 or 5 years ago, but their software won't allow things like that. There are things that you and I look at that would be just common sense that should be done. They're going to probably put more AI into the tools, which means there's going to be more returns looked at within the IRS to see if they should go through the audit. They're already working and have been doing for the last few years a lot more comparisons of W-2s and 1099s and other income reporting documents that are sent to the IRS. I mean, if you've got a merchant account, they're even tying those 1099Ks back to the income that's reported on your tax return. We have seen audits that have come out of some of the stuff that their systems have been looking at, where you report everything that comes through in a merchant transaction, but they're imputing that you've received cash or checks as well, even if your business is all electronic. So, there are things that the IRS is doing and modernizing that's going to make it a little bit harder and more complicated for you and I as business owners, as taxpayers, to skirt the system. Or, hey, even if we're doing things right, they're going to have the feeling that you're doing it wrong. They think that every small business, every business owner that's out there lies, cheats, and steals, and they want to audit everybody. And that's just my opinion, but that's just the way, when you're talking to some of these IRS agents, that is their feeling that they give you, that you're a criminal because they think you are, even if you've done everything 100% correct. Boy, that went off from computer systems, didn't it?
Understood. Let me get this question from Juan in San Antonio. Thank you for your show. I have not filed taxes in 5 years. I have a lot of paperwork. I understand you're in Texas. I don't know where in Texas, but how would I get all of my documents to you?
What was his name again? Was that Juan?
Juan.
Hey, Juan, thanks for the message and the question. We have secure portals, so you can actually scan everything or even take pictures of the stuff you have and put them up into our secure portal. We work with truckers nationwide. We work with people nationwide. I've got offices pretty much around the country. Do have an office in San Antonio that we use to meet with the IRS. Same with Dallas, Austin, and then every state, pretty much, we have a office that we use to meet with the IRS. But we use the secure portals nationwide to facilitate moving documents. We work very well remotely with everybody, and all the staff that work on people's returns, all the staff that touch any documents are all here in the USA. I'm probably one of the few companies that refuse to send anything overseas or have it done by people that are not in the States. And we proudly say that, hey, we are all American, and, we help take care of you right here. Now, our corporate office is based in Cypress, Texas, right outside of Houston. So you're going to get great service by me, by my staff. We're all family here. You'll become part of our family, and we'll help take care of you. Unfortunately, I can't help you unless you call us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Or just go to taxationsolutions.net, and you can contact me, and we'll contact you right back and set up a time to talk with us and figure out the best way forward for you. And I got to get better at giving that number out, because I get asked that all the time. Why don't you talk about your number?
Right. Again, and website too, Barry.
And
people
websites.
Want to know the website also.
I just talk and I keep forgetting these things. But yeah, it's taxationsolutions.net, and it's 877-996-6477. So yeah, I keep forgetting we're on the radio, but I also get to see stuff we do on YouTube and other stuff. So I see the scroll at the bottom, and I keep forgetting, hey, I got to announce it because people are listening on the radio too.
Yes, it's in fact, most of our, I guess, audience are either Spotify or iHeart. And now I've noticed a lot of people from Apple that are watching, or actually they're listening to the show. We just got another question from Amarillo. Would you suggest an enrolled agent, which, could you please explain, are using a CPA?
Well, I'm biased. It's an enrolled agent all the way. Now, I also have my CPA license. I just don't renew it because I am a tax expert. An enrolled agent is actually licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent taxpayers to the highest levels of the IRS. We are tested to get our license all about tax. The difference between us and a CPA does accounting. A CPA may not be an expert in taxes. They may not be 100% knowledgeable in taxes. When we learn how to become a CPA, you're going through accounting courses, audit courses, things like that. You're not taking a bunch of tax courses. You're not learning everything there is about taxes. When CPAs decide they want to be an EA, they've actually got to go back and study all the things about taxes so that they can pass the enrolled agent's exam. And so being an enrolled agent, what I do is I study the ins and outs of the tax law to find you the best way to save you money on your taxes, to find you the best way to get you the tax relief that you need for any problems you may have. And that's why I would always defer to an enrolled agent over a CPA, even over a tax attorney that's out there, or an attorney that decides he's going to do taxes, because we've got the knowledge to help you, with your taxes, through tax preparation, through finding all the deductions that you have. The advantage over here at Trucker Tax Tools and taxationsolutions.net is that, hey, I've had my CPA license. I just don't renew it. I know the ins and outs of accounting and bookkeeping and all that, and my staff is well trained. And then you've got the vast knowledge of everything that we can do for you to save you money on your taxes. And that's the best part about taxationsolutions.net, is the ability to get you that kind of tax relief.
I got to tell you, Barry, if I had to go through an audit there's no doubt that I would hire Taxation Solutions over any CPA. It's amazing because we've done so many shows together, and still to this day, you tell some of the greatest stories about experiences that you've had with the IRS, but still to this day, one of my favorite is that, and we're talking about experience now. How many times have you known more about tax code than the IRS agent you were working with, and you actually had to go above their head?
Daily now.
Yeah, I imagine.
And it's lately it's become harder and harder to get through to the IRS. And I've got a priority line that I can call, and it still takes me a couple hours sometimes to get through. I just this last week, I actually was dealing with a tax problem for a former federal employee. They're not an employee anymore of the federal government. They're actually on a pension. And I had to go through 4 agents with the IRS to finally get somebody that I could coach through just putting a hold on this account because this person was a former federal employee. The first one told me, nope, I can't do it because it's a former federal employee. They have a federal employee notation on here. No, sir. You can still put the hold. Here's where it says it in the Internal Revenue Code, in the manual. Nope, I got to pass you to somebody else. Pass me to the next person. Supposedly, this is the internal office that handles federal employees. Talking to that person. No, it takes a next level to do this. I was about losing patience. I hung up, started over. Next person was going through it. I said, I give up today. 6 hours of dealing with this. Next morning, I called in, talked to the guy. I said, I need you to do this, this, and this for me. This is a former federal employee. Just put the hold on and do these 3 things. Guy went, oh, we can do that. It's that simple. Just had to shake my head and said, yes, it is. Got the hold, got off the phone. Good enough. Sometimes these people, hey, they're just there doing what they see, weren't taught anything else behind anything but that screen. It's kind of like going to some of those storefront tax stores that are maybe even in Walmart, and the person doesn't know anything about taxes other than how to read the screen and ask the questions. But I can't knock those guys because some of our best clients come from there because they don't know how to do things. Well, that's sometimes now how the IRS is. They're just looking at a screen and you're going to get what you get. And if you don't know any better, you really can't throw a fit about it because you don't know what they're doing or what they're doing wrong. And that's where, experts like us here at taxationsolutions.net get things right and help our clients. Hey, speaking of audits, we've been seeing more of those lately.
Have you really?
And some of these guys that are going through these audits, it's crazy. And one of the reasons is people that are doing these rideshare things or driving for these things like Uber and stuff, is that they're getting a 1099K and the IRS is matching it to tax returns. And even if you've lost money and you said, I'm just not going to report this, it's just a hobby and whatever, and I didn't make any money doing it, the IRS is coming back and auditing you. And if you don't respond to that audit, they take that full 1099K and put it on there as income on Schedule C and then hit you with self-employment taxes. So you need to make sure you're reporting that extra income you got coming in from, if you're doing ride shares or driving or anything like that, because the IRS will come back and audit you if they get those other forms that are out there.
Barry, you just mentioned about how long you were on the phone with the IRS. Can you imagine if you're a business owner and you've got to and you're trying to handle this yourself, and you've got to spend hours and hours, like you just said? I mean, that takes so much time away from you running your business. And that's why it's so important to have a company like Taxation Solutions handling this for you.
Absolutely. We were just talking to somebody that had issues with payroll tax. Now, hey, I'm not the best salesperson in the world. Sometimes I give away too much information. And so this guy decided he was going to go handle his business problem himself. And, sometimes things come back to haunt you because you're trying to help somebody and you're trying to tell them, and you warn them that the IRS is going to come after them for trust fund penalties and everything else. And he's called us back and said, I don't know what to do. I just got hit with civil penalties. And what are civil penalties? And I went, well, according to the notes, when we talked, you said you had a payroll tax problem. And I told you to beware that the IRS agent is going to come after you for trust fund penalties. Well, they just put forms in front of me and told me to sign, and that we worked out the installment arrangements. And now they want an installment arrangement on the personal side for these civil penalties. Yeah, you just signed the form saying, yes, you're 100% responsible for trust fund penalties, and they assessed it against you, and therefore you're liable for these civil penalties. Now what do I do? Hey, there are certain things we could have done in the beginning.
Right.
Now we've got a bigger problem because you chose to go out there and run and think you can do it yourself. That's part of the issue, and you have a revenue officer you're dealing with. The revenue officer wants every dime he can possibly get from you. They're going to think they can get blood from a turnip, and they're taking everything that they can possibly get from you. Well, I paid them a bunch of money because they asked for an extra $6,000 and stuff. I said, if you would have done it with me, we would have made sure that they applied the money in the right way, and then we would have avoided trust fund penalties. It could have been that simple, but now you've got more difficulties in this, and we'll have to deal with this and work this out. So, sometimes doing it yourself really hurts. The time it takes to go through and do it not just costs you time and money, time taken away from your business, money and possible lost revenues, lost income, that you could have been doing something else and let somebody handle it that has the expertise to do it. And now you've got hit with the trust fund penalties, as well as all the lost time you put into this to put a lot of damage into what you have happening at the IRS. And that's one of the reasons why my wife even tells me if there's an electrical problem in my house, she calls the electrician and I don't get to touch it. It's going to cost me a lot more when I screw it up. Not to mention, if I really mess it up, she may be calling the ambulance and saying, hey, come pick up this poor fool off the ground that just put electrodes through him. And, so she doesn't want that to happen. I don't want it to happen. So I let her make the phone call. If you're not man enough to man up and make the phone call to the Taxation Solutions to get your help, at 877-996-6477. Maybe your wife will man up and call us and get the solution and get somebody on your side to help you and fight your business tax problems as well as personal tax problems. Somebody's got to do it.
Hey, Barry, we just got a text. This is from Peter in Paris, Texas. Yes, there is a Paris, Texas.
And there's an
He
Eiffel Tower there too.
My- he said, I just found your show. He said, I just want people to know I was one of those idiots that thought I could handle this myself. And I ended up getting myself in more trouble and ended up having to pay more because I didn't know that there was companies out there like yours. I just want people to know they act like you're your friend and you end up giving out information you should not give out. Hey, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely true. And it's
They act like you're your friend.
innocent questions too. And it's just like having a discussion, and all of a sudden the agent goes, "Where do you bank at? You know your bank account number." You answer the question, "How much do you have in the bank?" You answer the question. It seemed innocent enough, but it actually gave them a quicker and easier roadmap. They don't have to go find it. Now,
Right.
you and I know, Steve-O, that the IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. If they want to get the information, they're going to get the information. They're going to find it. But why make it easy? You know, Granted, when we're representing you, yes, we give the IRS a lot of information. We have to give them all the information they need to make the decision. But we also know how to put it on the forms the correct way. We also know how to figure out with you how to protect income, assets, things that are important to you, to put the right solution in place to get you, to where you can get the quality of life back, where you can live. We rearrange people's finances to help them make it better for them. Now, if you hide things from us,
Right.
we had a gentleman hide property from us thinking, oh, the IRS will never know. We were in the middle of an offering compromise that should have been accepted 1,000%, 100,000,000% sure it was going through and going to be accepted for about $100. Came out, this guy owned a vast amount of property that he never disclosed to us. Matter of fact, he had done some weird transactions of selling off pieces of property to his kids in the last couple of years for quite a bit of money, and had receivables with them as well, and liens on the properties that he sold off to them. Guy had a lot more than what he ever told us, and the property he owned was free and clear and worth much more than his tax debt. Guess what? He lost a big chunk of property, and he is lucky we were able to pull the offer before the IRS decided that he committed fraud.
Wow.
So don't lie to us or whoever's helping you. Be truthful, be honest. Give us the opportunity to try to protect what you do have and get you the right solution. You may not like it, but it's going to be the right solution. You may want that pipe dream that everybody wants to sell you. And sometimes you can't fall for that. Get a second opinion. Call somebody else. Call Taxation Solutions. Go to taxationsolutions.net, tax relief, and let us tell you the honest truth of where you're going to stand with the IRS. And that's one of the things that we do when we do the free consultation. It's a free call, free consultation. Let us talk about what your tax problem is. You may have to go through a tax analysis to actually decide what's going to be the best solution for you, but we can give you an idea of where we're going to go with it and then decide from there. We're not going to sell you that pipe dream right off the bat, because, hey, we need to know if you're going to qualify before we tell you, hey, look, we can settle you for, $100, $1,000, 10,000, $500,000, whatever the number that has to be to settle your tax debt and get an offer in compromise. We need to sit down and look at it. And it may not even be the best way to go. As you and I have talked about before, is there are many programs within the IRS to get you the best solution. And just because everybody makes offer and compromise sound like the greatest thing since sliced bread, it does not make it right for every taxpayer out there.
Barry, what percent would you say of people who call you to actually start off trying to handle it themselves, thinking they could do it?
Well, it depends on what you call handling yourself. If it's taking that envelope and throwing it in the circular trash
Yeah,
pile, handling yourself, everybody does.
yes, right.
Not opening the envelopes, quite a few say, hey, I got a stack of envelopes. Are any of them final notice of intent to levy? I don't know. I didn't open them. Well, that's a solution.
Yeah.
That's kind of handling it yourself. You stacked them over there in the corner. What are you waiting for? Another 100 of them to come in to start a fire, or what? Those that actually decide, hey, I really want to put a solution in place. Maybe 25 to 30% will try to do some things themselves, and then they find out that a full pay with the IRS is, they want $1,000 a month, and you don't have the wherewithal to do it. Other people have called in and said, well, I agreed to what they would tell me was the minimum payment plan at $500 a month, and I just can't afford to pay it. I haven't even been able to do it. Well, you screwed it up, and you broke your payment plan, and you made it a little bit harder. Some people have called in and they've been through 3 or 4 different payment plans, and every time they have to do a new payment plan, it has to be more because that's what the IRS says that they've got to pay, and they go with it, and they've made it, that much more difficult. Or they've had people that they've hired that do stupid things that extend statute of limitations for no reason at all. And now you have longer to pay on a tax debt because they did something that they shouldn't have done at that point in time. So there's all kinds of variables that are out there. But, if you choose to go it alone, God bless you, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope it works out. But if it doesn't, you give us a call. Call us at 877-996-6477. Let us see what we can do and try to help you and get you into a better situation where you can go back to living your life. And, once you hire us, you don't have to talk to the IRS. We take care of all that for you. We step right into your boots, and we go right through the muck and the mud of the IRS for you. And we find the best possible solution to your tax problem that you can possibly get.
The reason I brought that up, and I know we only have a few minutes, but Barry, I know so many people put their foot in their mouth that end up talking to the IRS themselves. And yes, they finally do call you, but they've created even a bigger mess by trying to handle it themselves when all they had to do is call Taxation Solutions.
Absolutely. And we try to make it as easy as possible. You can't say you're hands off because we need your help. You've got to help us in providing information to us, and you've got to answer questions, and you got to answer and provide documents timely to us so we can get the solutions and we can do the right things for you. You may not be able to afford paying for our service 100% right up front. We take payment plans. We put you on a payment plan. We don't charge interest on the plans. We allow you to pay it off over a period of time. We just want to help you solve your problem. But, Steve, if people don't want to pick up the phone and take advantage of a free consultation, a free phone call, I can't do anything for you. So it's got to start by calling us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. If you got a tax problem, call us. If you're a trucker, over-the-road trucker, call us. We'll help you with your bookkeeping and your taxes. And don't forget to tune in right here.
Other thing. Yes, Mondays. You've got your own show every week.
10 a.m. Eastern time right here on W4CY Radio. Go to taxtalk4u.com. But what I was going to say just don't miss any episodes of Ask the Experts. Man, we got some great podcasts out there, Steve-O and I, and he's got a bunch of other people that are out there. Go see his podcasts. Man, they're fantastic.
And you'll be back with us in less than 2 weeks with our national show we do.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great show with you, Steve-O.
One more time, buddy, with the phone number.
877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Watch the podcast. The number's scrolling at the bottom as well, just in case you missed it.
Barry, as always, love you, bro.
Thank you, Steve. Everybody have a God bless and glorious week.
Hey, and happy Father's Day. That's happy Father's Day. I forgot to tell you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
Okay, we'll see you soon. That's Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions. That's it for us today. Thank you, Rebel. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.